Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Christine O'Brien, the owner of Ireland Beauty, one of Boston's go-to beauty spas for expert skincare and holistic beauty treatments. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, Christine has built a trusted name in the Irish community and beyond. She's known not only for her skincare expertise, but also for the genuine care and personal connection she brings to every client. She is passionate about clean living, both in skincare and nutrition, and strives to inspire others to embrace a healthy lifestyle. Christine, welcome to the podcast, and it's a pleasure to have you at the table.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Christine, you really are a trusted space in the skincare industry and with your beauty spa, Ireland Beauty. But I'd love to take you back to the beginning, and can you share with us where your journey in beauty care first began and what inspired you to pursue this path?
Well, I was never getting into this industry. And when I went to college, I actually went to college for physical therapy. So I did a year in physical therapy in one of the colleges in Cork. And but at the time I was like 100 pounds. I was like tiny, and I'd always come in like makeup done, high heels on. And at the end of my first year, one of my professors put me aside, and she was like, would you not think about doing beauty? I think you'd maybe strive a little better in there, because they had massage and stuff like that as well. And at the start, I was a little insulted. I was like, oh, she's just putting me in a box. But I left that year, went out for summer holidays, and I was like, let me look into it. And then I transferred the following year into it. So it was really that one woman who suggested it to me is how I actually ended up in it. And it was like the best thing I've ever done, because it was what I was meant to be doing. I love this industry. So yeah, that's exactly how I ended up.
Okay, so well, then we'll fast forward. So you arrive in Boston and building a business. I mean, what was it like? First of all, you're in a new country.
Yeah. So when I first came here, I actually worked for a lady for a year. And it really wasn't the most positive experiences that I had, because the problem is here in the US, the beauty industry actually isn't, it's not regulated as well when it comes to like employment and stuff like that. So I was very unhappy, and I was like, right, I need to figure out, am I unhappy with just where I am, or am I unhappy just in the industry in general? So one day I took out, I started Googling hair salons around me, and I just started kind of calling, and I was like, right, do you have a room to rent? And I found a second call, and this one was like, oh yeah, I have this tiny room. And I was like, you know what? It's a sign. I'm just going to go out on my own. So that was probably 12 years ago. And from the second I started working for myself, I really did feel like I was always very good at what I did. I definitely was meant to be in this industry, but I became very stagnant in my opinion towards it. I just went in and did my job and I left. But the minute I was working for myself, it just reignited it in me. And I was like, right, if I'm going to do this, I'm really going to do this. But I was going to do it differently to the way I had worked in places. Like I said, I had been treated not so great by certain employers. So I wanted to be the boss and a business that was not just there for her clients, but also kind of there for her staff.
Right. And I suppose just to zone in on that a little bit. So I suppose you probably took the good and the bad,
yes,
from working with other for other people, and decided you were going to I guess
do my own way.
Yeah, do it different.
I didn't want to be that person that was on her staff's back all the time. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's people listening to this been like, really? Like people that I have employed, and there's some people that I didn't leave in great terms with, but look, listen, that's its own journey. But I would like to think of myself as a person who was there just to kind of I always wanted what's right by my staff. And that was very important to me when I started hiring, that I was that boss, that I was somebody that was it wasn't just about money, it was about their welfare as well.
Right. Yeah, and not about money, but I'm sure also then about the quality of the service you were providing to your clients.
Because that's very important to me. I always tell everybody, we all like money, but my reputation means 10 times more to me than any dollar amount. You couldn't put a dollar amount on my reputation. So I always make sure that I'm staying ahead of the industry. I'm watching trends that are coming out of all over the world, doing my own research. I find with a lot of estheticians, what they tend to do is jump on a bandwagon. I don't do that. I'll go and research and be like, right, does that work or will that not work? And I need to know everything before I decide whether it's good for my clients or not.
Okay. So actually that's a nice little segue for us, Christine, into the industry in the United States. And, you know, I mentioned in my intro and you talked about that, you know, you did your training in Ireland.
20 years ago.
Wow.
20
The years fly by. So, I mean, what you have learned in Ireland, you know, how do you bring, you know, how have you brought that experience here, here to the US and to your business, Ireland Beauty?
So we were highly trained when I did it 20 years ago. I mean, back now, the stuff how we were trained. Unfortunately, Ireland has actually kind of come away from that a small bit. Like I did like 1,000 hours. I had to do 2 years in college and 1,000 hours in the salon by the time I was done. Now I think they've like lessened the hours, and that's fine. Here the industry was completely different. It was, you know, doing 300 hours and you were basically left at the door with like heels and microneedling pens and like wax and been like, oh, do what you want. And it was like, oh, wow. Whereas we were trained a way that was like, it took us a while to get to that point. You know, we left school, but we knew nothing. It was our employers that really kind of instilled in us quality and what we were doing. Here, they don't care. They'll just throw somebody in and just be like, here, there's a pot of wax. Go do what you need to do. That's the difference between here and there. And again, like I said, it has changed at home. They're not as quality controlled as what they used to be. Just kind of.
And I suppose it's just, you know, you look at EU, you know, versus the
well,
US,
that's
you know, EU, you know, highly
they are
regulated.
definitely more highly regulated when it comes to certain things. Like they are more highly regulated on ingredients that are in products, making sure that you name every ingredient that's in product, where the FDA don't require every ingredient to be on a product. I think in the EU, there's over 3,000 ingredients that are banned. I think there's just over like 220 of the same ingredients banned from here. So that's kind of always what you're kind of looking at. But then, you know, you look at Ireland and then they're like, you can go up to the north and do a weekend course and you can come down and inject people with Botox and filler with no qualifications. Whereas here, that's more regulated. That has to be a nurse. You have to be licensed and it's the whole thing. So it's kind of funny how the industry has really shifted over 20 years. I don't know, good or bad. Right now, I think we're in this kind of really funny limbo with the whole industry.
Okay. And I suppose just to talk about a little bit about the actual skincare industry and what we should be doing. I mean, it's sometimes, you know, I'm on Instagram or you're on TikTok, you're there, should I be using this moisturizer? Should I be using this peel? I mean, it really is overwhelming. So to our listeners today, I mean, what are like some of the do's and the don'ts?
Well, the biggest do is always sunscreen. One of the most important products that you can put on your skin is sunscreen, because at the end of the day, the two things that age the skin faster is the sun and blue light. They are like killing the cell. They kill your retinol palmitate receptors on a constant basis. So you have to protect that as much as you can. Now, then talking about sunscreen, not all sunscreens are made equally. You know, I would always tell people to use a mineral-based sunscreen because it's rock. Rock is a natural ingredient and it sits on as a physical barrier with like a lot of, there's like, I'm not sure if you've watched at the moment, like, they're talking about like Neutrogena and Johnson & Johnson and what they're putting into their sunscreens. They're using a lot of benzene in their sunscreen, which is not really good because that itself is carcinogenic. So, you know, really for the consumer, it's your job to do as much research as you possibly can. You know, my biggest pet peeve is these TikTokers and influencers like, oh, buy this cream, look at my skin, and it's a filter. Like, you don't look like that. You're using a filter. And then people are going out wasting their money and using stuff on their skin, and it's completely counteractive to what they actually should be doing with their skin. So that would be the one. Always wear sunscreen. Like, wear the sunscreen. A lot of the times with skincare, you see a lot of this Korean brand out at the moment where it's piling cream on your face. And that's the worst thing you can do. The skin is like a sponge. There's only so much you can put on it and it can only absorb so much. So after like product 3, there is no more absorption. It sits on the surface of the skin. So 1, you're wasting money, and 2, you might end up clogging yourself out. Less is always more. And invest in a really good serum that has a plant-based retinol. Retinol itself gets a bad rap as well, but plant-based retinol is essential for the cell. It's what our cell is made up of.
Christine, you talked about it being overwhelming about, you know, what moisturizer, what serum to use, and actually how expensive skincare products can be on both sides of the Atlantic.
Yeah.
So if you were on a budget, what would you tell me to do?
You know, I'm not a product pusher. I never have
Yes.
been. My thing with skincare is, and this is what works, it's less is more. Always put your money into your serum that has the plant-based retinol and a really good sunscreen. After that, CeraVe for a cleanser is perfectly fine.
Christine, I know something as you probably age and now you're a mother of 5 that you talk about that more natural look for you. And of course, we recently had you at a Manor wellness yoga retreat and where you did a demonstration of face yoga. So could you talk a little bit more about that?
So my journey with face yoga, it was my journey of kind of taking all toxins kind of out of my body. And just, you see so much at the moment about like what's in foods and everything. And I just didn't want to put anything into my body. So that included the Botox. So I went on a journey of face yoga. And what that is helping me do is, because I've not used my muscle for 16 years, well, it's not even 16 years, probably about 14 years, because I didn't use a muscle for 14 years, I've now had to retrain my muscle back to work. And by doing so, I do it through face yoga. Now, I find face yoga a very funny area because, you see a lot online and people are like, that doesn't work. And I find it hysterical that somebody would say that, because that's like telling somebody, if you go to the gym, it doesn't work, right? At the end of the day, it's still muscle. You still have to work it out. And it's like cheap and cheerful, you know what I mean? Versus like all the money we put into like injecting into our faces, there is an option that you can go about and do your face yoga that way. And I enjoy it. Like my husband thinks I'm half nuts to get home and I'm making all sorts of shapes and everything going out with my face. At this point, I've caught my kids doing it. It's actually hysterical. My 2-year-old was there one day and he was making all these. I was like, what's he at? And I was like, oh, he's watching me too much. Even this morning, he had my gua sha stone and he was doing the gua sha on his face. It's like, okay, they watch me way too much. But again, it's just a way of holistically coming at skincare. And with this industry as well, what you tend to find is people are either very holistic or very medical. But you can be both. So I would definitely say that I'm about a holistic and a medical way of going about skincare. Like I do a lot of fibroblasting where we use a pen to cauterize the skin and it produces a collagen seedling. That is considered medical because at the end of the day, it triggers a healing response. It's the same with microneedling. One of the best services you can ever do for your skin is microneedling. It's been around for 25 years and its research is just phenomenal. Again, triggering of a healing response. And then we have those, what now comes with your microneedling is these PDRNs. So one of the biggest trends you want to see at the moment is salmon sperm. And everybody's like, oh my God, it's just like, Right, so why we use salmon sperm is, it's because sperm DNA is very rich. So they go in and they take this ingredient called PDRN. Now, it's a whole word and it's got about 30 letters in it and I can't even say it, so I'm not even going to try. Anyway, so PDRN, so what they found with salmon has this ability to really heal itself really, really quickly. So what they did is they went into the sperm, pulled the PDRN out of the DNA of the sperm, and they've put it into creams. So I get mine out of Barcelona. It's a 3%. This actually came out of Korea. So, and I'm jumping here a small bit. So Korean skincare is huge and it's everywhere. And they do push the industry, but the problem is with Korean skincare is it's not regulated. They could be making PDRNs and they could be making cat food right next to it. That's your problem, right? They don't regulate the way they need to regulate. So I love seeing what's coming out of Korea and then be like, right, I ain't buying it out of there, but let me see where I can buy it. So I get mine out of a place in Barcelona and it's like fantastic. So that's, I know I jumped a small bit with the face yoga, but like that's where kind of all of this can kind of come together. People think of face yoga and they're like, oh my God, it's like sitting in a corner meditating, which I do actually enjoy meditating. Like you're like a hippie or something like that, where it's not. It's about when you come to skin, it's coming from every possible angle you can probably come to so you can maximize the results that you can get. You don't have to go into a box. People think, well, I'm either medical or this. You essentially can be all of it put together. And that's kind of what I try to put together for my clients and myself.
And I think it's not one size fits all either.
No.
And with the face yoga, I mean, you could be sitting in the parking lot picking up your school. Yes, I've seen the videos of you.
Sitting and like pick up and there I am. And like teachers walking past, they're like, what is your one at? I'm like, whatever. I don't care. I was actually coming in on the train and I was actually doing it without realizing I was doing it. And I was like, oh Jesus, people are going to think I'm nuts. Me and my sister were in New York recently enough and we're on the subway and I made her do it with me there. And she's just like, what is this one? I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, so who cares? Just do it.
Right, and it doesn't
No.
take hours and
No, it
hours and
doesn't.
hours.
And if anything, it feels good because you're working out the muscle in your
Right.
face. It helps with lymphatic. It's helping with so much stuff.
So Christine, I'm going to talk about you a little bit now. A mom of 5.
Yeah.
Growing a business.
Yeah.
A wife.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
I don't know. I've got a great nanny. I'd be lost without Maureen. She's the best thing that ever walked into my life. No, and I've had great nannies over the years. It's not just Maureen. I've always been very driven. From the second I went out on my own, I knew that like skincare was a calling for me. So I was like really, you know, I do get some guilt though. I feel like at the start, my daughters, when they were like first, especially Saoirse, she's now 10, when she was first born, I was just in the midst of it. Like I had just gone out, I'd opened up my first space, a 2-bedroom salon on my own. I was pregnant. I literally had Saoirse, and 8 days later I went back to work.
Oh wow.
You know, and that's the other side of it. You know, I have probably given up a lot to get to where I've gotten to. Work, sometimes it's a break. But like it's about, I put a lot into work, but my kids are always my priority. Like the second I have a child that's sick, I'm dropping off everything and I'm going home. You know, if they need me, I'm mom. That's my first cap. That will always be my first. The reason I have what I have now is to support them. So I have to make sure that I am there for them. And that's something I've definitely learned over like since COVID. I feel like COVID was a huge thing for me to reset. I had to be at home and I had to take a step back and I had to be like, right, this is priority. That's not. And once I did, everything kind of like just started working way smoother for me. So look, there's days I come home from work and I'm absolutely wrecked and I fall onto the couch and I'm like, oh God, I can't make dinner. But I still go on and I still get done what I need to get done. And I've been kind to myself. For years, I wasn't kind. I had this, like, I felt like I had to be here, but I had to be here at the same point. Now I'm like, no, I'll get done when I get done and I'll get it done when I get it done. And I leave it there.
And talk a little bit more about that, because I don't think women are kind to themselves.
Oh,
I think
no.
we really judge ourselves and are so hard on ourselves.
And everybody else judges us as well, right? You know, I have clients giving me abuse because I'm having to reschedule them because my kid's sick. And then I'm like, then you don't need to come back into my business. You can toddle on and find someplace else to go to and have a great day. You know, where now most of my clients, they always understand that like family is first. And I don't really care what their opinion is of it. My kids, there's a day that like they're going to be what's left and they are what's the most important to me. My family is what's most important to me.
That's the core.
It is. I do what I do for them. That's why I'm not doing it for the client. Well, I am kind of doing it as well. But still, just putting that out there in case I have clients listening to it. But like my kids they are my priority and they always will be my priority.
And do you talk to your girls about, you know, that you're being a role model for them?
Yeah.
You're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Ciara already is talking about when she can come in and take over the salon. I'm like, you can have it, Gord. Go for it. Maybe you might do a little bit better than I have. I do, and I think they're very proud of that on me as well. They have seen how hard I work. Like my 14-year-old Ciara, I'm actually training her now at the moment on the desk. And I want her to see how hard it is. And I want her to come in and understand this is what it takes and be serious in what you want from your life. So they do. They definitely see it. My sons, obviously, they're young. They don't care, but the girls do. They see it, alright, especially Ciara.
That's great. That's great. And we talk a lot about, Christine, about our community and having this community. So could you talk to me a little bit about maybe the Irish community, the Irish American community, how they support you, or who's your community? Who supports you?
I have a couple of really good friends and my sisters. They're probably definitely, and my husband, like they would definitely be my biggest support. I'm very lucky. I have a great bunch of clients. It's taken me a very long time to get to where I've gotten to, but they are a great support. They're a mixture of both Irish American. I do have a great bunch of Irish clients. A couple of them actually come to Manal, and they are like my biggest advocates. They're always out, and like one of them in particular, she looks amazing, and he's like, "Oh my God, your skin!" She's like, "Oh, Ireland Beauty, come to Ireland Beauty," and you know, when those clients come in the door, then they're essentially a client that will always stay with me because they've come through a great referral process. And then I have some amazing American clients. I've got clients going back over 12 years, and they've been with me from the first tiny little room that you couldn't swing a bloody
I remember
cat
that
inside.
room.
I know, you couldn't swing a cat inside in it. And they have been with me since. And it's, you know, at this point now, I go in and I look at my book. I'm like, oh my God, see that client. I can't wait to see this client. And oh my God, I must tell her this and must, you know. And now it's at the point where I feel like it's friends kind of coming in the door. And that kind of what gets me through the day as well. They've seen me cry. I've seen them cry. I've seen them go through amazing times and hard times. And I feel like that's what kind of really sits or keeps you together with a great bunch of clients, is those connections. You know, it's not just about me giving you a facial. I always say this, I'm like, I should have called it Ireland Beauty Therapy, because it's a therapy session as well as getting a facial. Like, I'm the cheapest therapist out there, really, if you ask me. But, oh yeah, some of the stuff I've heard. One day I'm going to write a book.
I hope so. And launch it here on the
will.
podcast.
Some of the stuff, it's been hysterical and sad again at the other time. So,
But I think too, that's a testament to you, Christine. You're so real, and you know, I've gone to you over the years, and you feel you can just be yourself when you walk in the door.
That's what I want. I can't, but that's all I can be. And you know, people like me for it, and a lot of people don't like me for it. But I'm like, I am who I am, and this is what you're getting. I'm like, you know, I don't want to be anything else but that person. You know, I want to be as genuine and as open as I possibly can be to everybody that kind of comes my way, in both work and personal. That's just
And I think people are really craving that now, because with social media, there's so much.
You know, we
nonsense.
live in a world where, like, all of a sudden the world seems bigger, but never felt so small in all its time. You know, I feel like you get so lost in what goes on.
Well, Christine, I have to ask you, what is next for you and for Ireland Beauty?
Well, I'm in the midst of making my own little skincare line. So I have 2 products that I have at the moment. It's and it's really designed for like 40 plus. You know, I hit 40 and I'm like, I've looked after my skin so well. Like, I've been lucky enough to have the best of the best. And I hit 40, had 2 more babies, and my skin was like, oh God, it was so depleted. And what you find on the market is, you know, skincare brands are like for skin types, but they really don't reference or push towards processes that your body are going through, like hormonal processes, perimenopausal stuff, you know. So I was really struggling with products. So I was like, right, I just need to make something for myself. Now, I did go and I approached a few labs to have it made for me, but they wanted to own my formulas afterwards, and I was like, no, this is not happening. So I went and I made it myself, and I did a lot of research, and I'm lucky enough that I've always really been into ingredient, and I kind of understand how you formulate. So essentially I made it for me. It's like a cleansing balm and a moisturizer that kind of sits on the surface of the skin, and it has like squalene in it, so it takes a while for it to absorb in. Helps rebuild your barrier, because after 40 your barrier just gets annihilated from hormones and stuff like that. So it kind of sits there all day, and as it absorbs in, it has a time released ingredient called bucanol. So I've encapsulated it. So there's a lot of work went into this formulation. So what that means, it's like it delivers after about 8 hours and then it releases. So it acts like retinol, but it's a plant alternative to retinol. And then it has hibiscus in it as well, which is like nature's Botox. So I've kind of there's a lot more in it, but I've thrown a lot into it. I wanted to kind of make something that was like essentially a one and done. And that's it. You know, again, and like I said, I'm always very clean on skin. I'm very base. I hate too much products. I wanted something that was, especially with a mom of 5. You would think I'd have a million products. I actually don't. I have a very small amount of product, but I want it as easy as it possibly can be. I need to be able to slap it on and run out the door, because that's all the time I get right. Normally somebody's pulling at me, or like I have an audience every time I'm in the bathroom. I'm like, I'm sorry, can I get like 5 minutes to myself? Literally, I have an audience every time I go into the bathroom. I'm like, this is amazing. So I wanted something that was really simple, and that's what this is. And it's kind of like, there's a bigger scheme in what I'm trying to do. And if you follow me on social media, I really am trying to get to a point with social media where I'm teaching people how to do a lot of this stuff at home. Yes, an esthetician is very important, but it's quite expensive to be going to see an esthetician all the time. So it's getting to that point where you can make that affordable, but still get amazing results. So that's kind of my path at the moment.
And we have some of it.
Yeah, I
right
brought
here.
you in some.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so when do you hope to get that out to your clients?
I don't know. I'm leaving it up to the universe. I'm very much in the universe, getting signs. So I'm leaving it to the universe, and the universe will tell me when it's ready to go forward.
Oh, but
You know, people are like, this one's nuts. Yes, I am.
no,
But anyway.
well, you're a real entrepreneur, and I think you're always thinking, and
I'm always thinking ahead.
yes,
Yes, I am. I'm
always.
always thinking ahead. So, yeah.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story from where it all began to the expertise you bring to the beauty industry today. It's been a pleasure having you at the table.
Oh, thank you.